Stay tuned, Source Nation. You're listening live to Renaissance Relationship Therapy with Life Purpose Coach Tem'Ti.
Good evening, Source Nation. I am your host and relationship advocate, Tem'Ti Sahu, and I want to welcome you back to the second hour of Renaissance Relationship Therapy, the show that gives you the relationship view you never knew, and it's the view that has the power to change everything. So we are getting ready to introduce tonight's special guest, dating advisor and expert, Crystal Love, and we're going to be having a conversation about harsh truths about modern dating that no one will tell you. Now, we're going to tell you, okay? We are going to tell you. But just like I said at the top of the show, I was reading the other day about the single guy who's a confirmed bachelor, and he said this about his married friends. I doubt many of them would actually choose to trade places with me. Although they may miss the thrill of sexual novelty, absolutely nobody misses dating. And I thought about that, and it's true. You know, if you're in a relationship, yes, you may miss the casual sexual encounters that you may or may not have had, but the actual dating process, the money spent, time wasted, the lies, the heightened insecurity, the social media stalking, I mean, there's no denying it. Modern dating tends to suck more than it delivers. And unfortunately, we as human beings, we are hardwired to repeat it over and over and over again because we need love and companionship. So we all have to deal with dating. But luckily, we have someone like our guest who, as an expert advisor on dating, has created a very different and fresh website that deals with dating in a very in a unique way. And the site is called Hello Dutch Uncle. All right, she's going to tell you all about it. It's still not, it's up right now, but they're still like putting the finishing touches to it. But this is what she says on the site. Dutch Uncle gives your dating life a fresh start, guiding you through honest, expert-driven advice, tailored just for you. That's sometimes funny and always true. And, you know, I like the angle that she's coming from, and that's why I wanted her on the show, because you have to laugh. You have to look at the funny side, because there are a lot of harsh realities out there. Again, if you're not familiar with those harsh realities, we are going to be going through the majority of them over the next hour. So our guest is in the studio. She's ready to go. So I want to bring a big Source Nation welcome to the creator of Hello Dutch Uncle and the savior of our future dates, Crystal Love. Hey, Crystal, how you doing? Welcome to Renaissance Relationship Therapy.
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Excellent, excellent. So I've just been gushing about your website, Hello Dutch Uncle, and I think it's great. And I want you to tell us, you know, briefly about, you know, what inspired you to do this, and it's an amazing site. And also, tell us, what the heck is a Dutch uncle? You know, that was one thing that came up in my mind. But yeah, tell us a little about yourself, the site, and how you came up with the name.
Okay. So I'll start with what the heck is a Dutch uncle, because it is a question I get asked quite often. But essentially, a Dutch uncle is a term that I did not make up. It's a term that we used to use in the English language, and it's just kind of something that has fallen out of favor per se, and it's just not a term that a lot of people use anymore. But it's essentially defined as someone who gives honest, straightforward advice. So it's black and white. It's no sugarcoating. It is telling you like it is, straight, no chaser. So that is essentially what a Dutch uncle is. And we, as the business of Dutch Uncle, are going to be providing dating advice that keeps it 100. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to hug you and tell you, you know, how wonderful you are. You probably are wonderful. Everybody's wonderful in their own little way.
Right.
But we're here to help you, and we feel like the best way for us to help you is to kind of give it to you straight and to be honest with you about what might be going on, where you may have some issues, some kind of setbacks, and also we just kind of like to say it in a funny way. You know, I feel like laughter is a great medicinal herb, and it, you know, sometimes eases the pain of dating is to kind of laugh through it instead of crying through it. So that is the basic on Dutch Uncle. And me personally, I am a native of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a Georgia peach. And I have probably been obsessed with love and relationships and boys in particular since I was 5. So it's been
wow.
Yes, I was an early starter. I had my first kiss in the 2nd grade, and I've just kind of been obsessed with relationships and love since then. And it's sometimes it's been great, and sometimes it's been not so great. But it's been a journey, and I'm still living it, still learning.
And the major inspiration for doing this was just kind of how do your own experiences relate to the content in Dutch Uncle and Hello Dutch Uncle?
That's a good question. I would just say the reason that I decided to create this business was a little bit of my personal journey and a little bit of the universe. I went through a hot mess stage. I'll be the first one to admit it. I was a mess. And I dated horrible, horrible people. I went through my desperation stage, and I kind of came out of it like, whew, that was a bit much. I'm like, thank goodness. That's
right.
Not only did I say that, but so did my mother. And so, you know, kind of living through all the things that you go through as a young adult, as you're getting into your 30s, as you're dating, as you're learning about yourself, I wanted to be able to help other people. And I just kind of had a conversation with someone a couple years ago and had, you know, as Oprah says, an aha moment, and at an aha moment, and decided to start this business.
It definitely is and that's a powerful testimony that you've just given us. You know, as you go through hurt and, you know, through the ups and downs, there's a lot that you can learn about yourself, primarily because you don't want to make the same mistakes again. So you have to ask yourself certain questions, and you're either going to sink or you swim. And it sounds like, you know, you're swimming like Michael Phelps now, and really, you know, we're able to get the benefit of you know, all the crap that you went through. So I'm sorry for your hurt, but now we're the beneficiaries of it. So it was a good thing for us.
That's true. And that's a good analogy because I'm actually quite a good swimmer. I've been swimming since I was 3. I was a lifeguard for many years for the city of Atlanta.
Get out! Really?
Yeah. Yes. And my favorite saying is from Finding Nemo, and it's bestie swimming. That's what I've been doing my whole life, just swimming.
Look at that. So, keeping it 100, we are talking about the harsh truth about modern dating that no one will tell you. It sounds like something that should be on your site, you know, because there needs to be a lot of realness. And it's not to say that no one's ever heard of these things before, but, you know, we really want to bring it up into like relief right now, because even though we know these truths, the sad reality is that sometimes we can just put it in the back of our heads and you know, say it isn't so, just so that we can sleep at night. But sometimes it is so, and the reason why things hurt is because that's the warning sign to say, hey, you need to change a couple of things. So we're just gonna bring up these harsh truths once again, just so that people can get that little wake-up call if it's their time, and they can maybe change a couple of things about their dating patterns and find, you know, happiness a little easier. So I wrote down a couple of points. I'm sure you've got some too, and I want to get right into it with you, Crystal. So
okay.
The first thing I wanted to bring up was the person who cares less has all the power. And I wanted to talk about this because this is something I've experienced, where I've been waiting for a girl to call. And, you know, back in the day when I was growing up, we never had cell phones, so you're literally sitting by the phone. You're literally sitting by the rotary phone, waiting for someone to call. And while you're waiting, you're thinking, why ain't she calling? what can she be doing with her life that's so exciting? I mean, I'm here. Why can't she be here? and it runs through your mind. And it wasn't until like later on in life when I started to get busy and actually start to focus on myself, then I really only had time for those that I really wanted to give it to. But when I made myself available, and really cared about people that I hardly knew, it really seemed as if they had, like I said, they had all the power, and like they just had my heart in their hands and they were just crushing it at will. This is a real thing that happens, and we give this power to people. And I wanted to know your perspective on why or how this happens and what we can do to kind of avoid this, getting into this harshest situation.
Well, I think you put is the saying you hit the nail on the head, is that we give them the power. They don't have it. You've just given it to them. And they may or may not realize that you've given them the power. So that's the first thing, is just don't give your power away, and don't put so much emphasis and importance on whether someone texts you back within a certain amount of time or calls you right back, or, maybe they have an extremely busy job during the day. Maybe they have a job where they're not allowed to text message. Maybe they have something going on with their family. You honestly have no idea what's going on, why they may or may not be getting back to you. So first you kind of just have to relax, and not put so much emphasis on that. But secondly, I think I like to say that I call it a sexually transmitted disease that is like taking over dating, and it's called ghosting. And
God, Lord. Tell us about
ghosting.
Tell us about ghosting.
Ghosting is essentially when you have been dating someone for whether it's a short amount of time or even sometimes a long amount of time, and then they literally just kind of disappear. They stop responding to your text messages. They stop answering your calls. They accidentally block you on social media. They just kind of disappear out of your life for what you think is not valid reason, or you don't even know why. But the reality is you will be ghosted. You will probably ghost someone yourself, so just let it go.
Wow.
It is a harsh truth of dating, that ghosting has become a sickness, that it has just become it's a norm now. I mean, every time you ghost people, they ghost you back. It is what it is. We have let go of the ability to kind of be honest and straightforward with people and say, I don't think this is a good fit for me. It's not working. There's probably nothing wrong with you. It's just that you're just not a good fit for that person, but they don't necessarily know how to say that to you, so they just disappear. And that is what people do these days. And so it is a reality of modern dating.
Okay, so continuing with that, because we know part of the reality is that everyone's more connected, so there's more availability, which means more choices. And when there's more choices, like a kid in the candy store, you're like, oh, should I have that one or maybe that one? No, I'll take that one. And everybody just wants to sample everything, and so you get to this point where folks really don't know what they want. They say they do, but they really, really don't. Otherwise, things like ghosting wouldn't happen. And this whole thing about where, whether people call it having a bench, playing the field or whatever, they kind of keep all these nondescript relationships hanging around, and they don't put names on it, they don't put labels on it. And if you're unfortunate to get sucked into one of these situations, you kind of go along because you don't want to be like the person who's like, all like, I need you. So you're like, you just hang back and stay cool. Oh, okay, well, we won't call it friends or we won't call it lovers. It just is what it is. But ultimately, these situations seem to work until they don't work. And then when somebody decides, hey, we've been doing these all for like 3 months. Didn't this mean anything to you? And that's like a crazy reality I see playing out over and over again, where people don't give their relationship descriptions but get conveniently upset if they feel that you've overstepped a mark that was never defined. Tell us about the dangers of that reality and getting involved with people who refuse to kind of put a label or description to what you're actually doing.
Well, I think you have to be honest about what you want on the front end. and you have to be honest not only with yourself, but with the other person. So if you agree to a casual relationship and then get mad when you have a casual relationship, then you don't really have the room to be upset because you agreed to it on the front end. If you want a serious relationship, if you want a commitment, if you want someone who is going to communicate with you, whether that's via text or phone every day, or, you know, whatever it is that you feel like you need to feel secure in whatever this is, then you should be honest with yourself about it and honest with the other person, because all you're doing is setting yourself up for disappointment. And disappointment is an emotion that is difficult for most people to deal with. And so you get disappointed, you lash out because you're upset that things aren't going the way that you want them to go, but you agreed for them to go in a way that you were never okay with on the front end. So I think that's important. But also, another harsh truth about modern dating is that people have become extremely picky and extremely superficial. You know, they try something out and they're like, I kind of didn't like the way she, you know, drank her soda, so I'm just not going to deal with her anymore, which is ridiculous. But people
But it happens. Yes.
It happens because of online dating has made it so convenient to, you know, just find someone new. I'll just keep on swiping and keep on swiping and keep on swiping until I find somebody that I like, and then I'll try them out. Oh, I don't like them. That's fine. I'll go keep on swiping. So unfortunately, that is a reality of where we are. But the flip side of it is that you never know who you might meet. You might meet someone that you actually really connect with. And you'll also meet a lot of people that you don't like, so you'll know what you don't like, because maybe you don't know that you don't like that, and that's okay. You know, so the benefit is that you are meeting lots more people than you probably would normally meet. But at some point, not only do you have to stop being superficial yourself, you have to try to find someone who's also kind of out of that process. So, you know, there's, you know, this kind of unwritten rule with social media that you like go on for a couple months and you get tired of it and you know, cancel your subscription, and then a couple months go by and then you get back on, and it's
I'm
like
back.
3 months, you know, I'm in it, I'm out of it, I'm in it, I'm out of it, you know, and you're almost like a kid in a candy store. You're like, oh my God, there's people everywhere. But eventually you get tired of all that sugar. You know, all that sugar makes you sick. So you eventually will grow tired of it, and at that point, it's probably when you will likely meet someone who's also tired of the sugar, and then you can kind of go on your merry way and have a more, you know, traditional, normal dating life. But until then, you got to deal with a lot of, you know, people liking a lot of sugar-filled candy. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but...
Well, I can think of another word that begins with sh when it comes to talking about a lot of the people that you come across. But what's very interesting about, like you said, the whole social media thing is that it's very image-driven. And this is another harsh truth about modern dating. And this is more of a, like, cautionary one. Pictures can be deceptive. Very, very, very deceptive. Yet we all get caught up in it. And you cannot judge somebody by a picture. And it just makes me think about the whole situation. Even I've been through it. Somebody had a great picture, and I never realized that I was only seeing one side of her face. And so when I actually met up with her, the other side of her face was not what I would have expected. And, you know, even at that point, it was just like, oh no, you know, without taking into account the person, the personality, you know, or sometimes I've seen somebody's face and it looked great, but then seeing them in 3 dimensions, you're seeing the way they walk, the way they talk, even the way they may smell, the way they sound. And these are all things that help you make decisions. And you realize, I can't go by pictures alone. But yet people still do it, and they think they're getting something from that. Tell us about that reality that you just cannot know somebody by their picture. It's impossible.
That's true. I think it's not just on online dating, but just in social spaces in general, on social media. Instagram is not real. It's just not. You know, there are some days that my hair looks a hot mess and my nails look a hot mess, and I'm just like, ugh. I can guarantee you I do not take a picture that day and post it on Instagram. I just don't. I post pictures on Instagram when I'm looking great. Of course I am. When I'm living this wonderful, fabulous life, that's what people do. Instagram is not real. But also
no, on the days when you're eating at a real fancy restaurant and you post that picture, but you don't post the other 99 days that you were eating at McDonald's and Waffle House.
Exactly. In my case, Arby's, because I really like their Korean fries. But, you know, specifically with online dating, I think what people need to realize is that you cannot find, if you're in online dating to find a long-lasting, committed relationship, that is important. That's one of the most important decisions that you're going to make for the rest of your life. It's going to affect the trajectory of your life in a lot of ways. This could be the person that, you know, you start a business with, you start a family with, you go through your ups and downs of life with this person. Why are you giving that decision to a computer, to an algorithm?
Wow.
I mean, you know, a computer algorithm is not going to be able to tell you everything that you need to know about a person. It's impossible. It's a computer, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of things about someone that you have to figure out in person. You know, a computer cannot replace in-person connections and in-person compatibility. It just can't. So my advice is that the benefit of online dating is that you can meet lots of people. But once you decide that you made some sort of initial connection online, you need to try to meet that person in person, offline, as soon as possible so that you can see whether you have a real connection, whether you can actually have a conversation, whether you like the way that they talk or they look or they dress or they whatever. And sure, there's some superficialness to it, but all those things are important. For a long-term relationship, all those things are important. You don't want to be that 50% that gets with someone, gets married, and gets divorced in a couple years. You don't want to be that person. So, you know, I think it's important that you not give your whole, put so much importance by the fact that a computer connected you with someone because y'all both live within, you know, a 30-mile radius of each other, and y'all both like football. Well,
we got so much in common. you know, you like football, I like football. We have so much in common. Like, come on.
Right, exactly. So that's going to be, you know, your happily ever after? Probably not. You know, but you know,
until you find out that you like rival teams, then that's a problem, isn't it?
Exactly. And I mean, hey, that might work for y'all, but it might not. So I think it's just, you know, giving yourself permission to make important decisions for yourself and not depending on somebody else or a computer or someone else to tell you that you should like this person, you're compatible with this person. Sure, you might be compatible with them, but that don't mean you need to date them. And that doesn't mean you need to marry them. That just means that you guys have some things in common that a computer decided you guys should meet. Great.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. Not to mention the keyboard warriors, the people who can be like absolute Don Juans when they're texting and, you know, they always got the right lines and whatnot, and then sometimes you can actually see them in person and there really is no chemistry. There's no actual biological chemistry between you. You know, it just happens like that sometimes.
And that's important. I think that's more important. I think it's extremely important for you to have an in-person connection with someone. Before online dating existed, I'm old enough to remember before online dating existed. You went out, you were somewhere, you caught someone's eye, you guys looked at each other and decided fairly quickly if you wanted to get to know each other a little better, if you wanted to actually say hello to each other. And then once you said hello, you guys then decided again, based on that very brief conversation, whether you wanted to continue that conversation. That is all in-person compatibility.
It's true. It is true.
And it existed for a reason, you know? And I think online dating is great. And it has provided it's opened us up to a world, to people we may not ordinarily meet in person, but don't forget about that in-person connection because it is extremely important.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So here's another truth to throw out there. People want people that other people want. If we're at a car showroom and everybody's over this tiny little car. Like, there's a crowd of 100 people around them, but then it's like Ferrari and no one's standing there. You're going to go with the crowd and be like, but everyone's over there looking at that car. What's going on? What does it do? And your interest is going to switch. And that is just a reality. Something to do with, like, I guess, the law of scarcity. When something is scarce, you want it more because it has more value. And it just makes me think about, if you want to be wanted, you've got to make sure that you've got to bring up your game, because if you make yourself overly available, nobody wants that. If no one else wants you, no one's going to want you. We always hear about married men getting more women than when they were single, because there's something about, I can't have you, that makes me want to have you. Tell us about this reality and what, you know, we can actually do when it comes to dating to take advantage of this.
I mean, that's a very good point. I think for me, I think you should just be more of who you are. Just be more of who you are. And to this kind of scarcity mode and not making yourself completely available, I think you should be more of who you are, and I think you should be more selective with who you choose to spend your time with. You know, just because all attention is not good attention. I think that speaks to kind of just not completely being, you know, available to everyone. All attention is not good attention. And I think if you are true and honest about who you are and what you want, and being respectful, but also kind of saying to someone, I'm not interested, that's okay. Hey, they might want you more, like you said, but just be kind of, just don't be, you're not for everybody, and everybody's not for you. And that's okay.
Right.
You know? Yeah, and you're just, you know, just be, you know, I don't know if I have a great answer for that particular question, but what came to my mind was just, you know, figure out who you are. Be that person. Because that's always going to go above and beyond anyone who's pretending to be somebody that they're really not. So I think first and foremost, just be who you are. And if you're not sure who you are, then figure that out first. Because that's always going to come back and bite you in the butt. Because you're going to start dating someone who thought they were dating person A, and the reality is that you're a person B, and eventually person B is going to come out. And so that person that you've been dating is going to feel like, hold on, wait a minute. Who are you? This is not a person that I've been dating for the last, 3-6 months. So I think that you should be honest and open about who you are, and I think you should be honest and open about what you want. You know, if you want a particular type of guy or a particular type of girl, you want a particular type of lifestyle or someone that's like super healthy or someone that's into sports, there's nothing wrong with that. So if someone comes your way that is not that person, it's nice to meet you, but I'm not interested. It's nice to meet you, but you're just not what I'm looking for. It's nice to meet you, but you're not who I have in mind long term. That is okay. You know?
Right.
That is okay.
And
but on the flip side,
but
on the flip side of what you were saying by, like, you know, people have this attraction to something and then, like, kind of everybody wants that. You know, men look at pretty women all the time. That doesn't necessarily mean they want to be with them long term. They're visually attracted to them, and that's great. And they look at them, and then they go back to what they were doing, you know? So, again, I think you should just be who you are and find someone who is interested in who you are, not who somebody else is.
No, and that's a great answer, because ultimately, you know, and again, this is when you're talking about once you've gone through the sugar phase, once you kind of accept what you want and who you are and you're being yourself. Yeah, everyone's over there looking at whatever car they said is the greatest car in the world, whether it's an illusion or not. It's not what you want. And if there's no one standing by the Ferrari, and you know, well, I was wanting a Ferrari. Well, guess what? you got a free ticket to drive your car, and no one's getting in your way. But only because you know what you want, and you're not like walking through life looking over your shoulder thinking, should I want that? Should I want that? If you know what you want, decisions actually dating becomes much more easier, becomes much more cut and dried. You know?
I mean, you might want a freaking pickup truck, or you might want a Prius, or you might want, and you're entitled to it. But you still might want that Ferrari driving down the street because it's flashy and it makes a lot of noise. And so you're going to be attracted to it because you're like, oh, what is that? It's almost like squirrel. You're like, squirrel. You can't help but look. But then after you look at it, you're like, okay, back to reality. Back to me and my SUV or my Honda or my
right.
person who wants to have a car that lasts you 15 years and you really don't have any issues, you're probably going to go buy a Honda. So maybe you're a Honda, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're a Honda, you're a Honda. I love Hondas. My first car was a Honda.
My first car was a Honda. I got a Honda Civic.
Yes, I had an Accord. Her name was Cherry. Again, I think it's just being who you are. Being who you are. And someone who wants that Honda or wants that Toyota or whatever it is, they're going to be attracted to you because that's what they're interested in. Because can you imagine? And we've all seen it. We've all seen someone who buys a Honda and then takes, or whatever kind of car it is, and then takes the emblems off and tries to pretend, changes the paint or changes the tires and tries to make it pretend that it's something that it's not. But the reality is, you get inside the car,
there's a Honda.
Yes. Sure.
Yes.
You took the H off the back and whatever. It is still a Honda. So don't try to be somebody you're not.
This is so true. This is so true. Okay, so talking about being real now. Talking about being real. All right. So the next harsh truth. People lie. I lie. You lie. We all lie in dating. Whether it's by omission, embellishment, in jest. Bottom line is, no matter how honest we try to be, we're going to leave out something or may kind of, exaggerate a little thing or whatnot. And it may not be done with any kind of cynicism, but ultimately, people are going to lie, and not necessarily because they hate you, but again, sometimes you've got to just kind of, be economical with your reality and give it to people in small doses over a period of time, rather than just like, here's my truth, give it all to you now. So tell us about this. I mean, sure, some people do lie, with cynicism, but ultimately, we shouldn't get upset if we're finding things out about somebody three months down the line that we didn't know on the first day and be like, you should have told me this. Folks are going to just miss things out possibly on purpose because they're not sure if they can trust you yet. So tell us about lying, whether it's by omission, embellishment, or jest.
True. I agree. I think people lie all the time for different reasons, whether they are just a liar, whether they're trying to pretend that they're a Ferrari when they're a Honda, or whether they're just trying to protect themselves or protect their privacy or whatever that is. So I think that there are different degrees to lying. There are those little white lies that, you're just trying not to hurt someone's feelings, or, do you like this dress, or do you like this, and you really don't like it, but telling them that you don't like it really isn't helping anybody. So you're just like, oh yeah, it's fine. We all kind of do that. And then there's sometimes where you lie, whether it's just by omission, like you're not upfront about it because you don't necessarily know this person, and maybe you're not ready to kind of share certain things. So I think there's different degrees of lying. And then there's that person who is like an actual pathological liar who is, I don't know, maybe attached to someone, maybe they're married, or, they claim that they do this when the reality is that they do that, and that sort of person is, to me, that's never okay. And that sort of, or maybe they're lying, about their sexuality or something like that. And I think big lies like that, although you may not know exactly what that person is lying about, you will always deep down inside know that something isn't right about that person. You will pick up on the fact that this person is not being upfront and honest with you about something that is important in life. And you will always pick up on that. There will always be signs. Whether you choose to act on those signs and believe those signs, that's up to you. But there will always be signs that say, something isn't right here. You know, so I think that's one side of kind of lying. And then the other side that you talked about, you know, these little white lies, these, you know, omissions, is you have to give yourself time to get to know other people, and you have to give people enough time to get to know you. And someone that you just met and have been on 2 dates with does not deserve to know everything about you and should not know everything about you, because 3 weeks from now, they might be ghosting you. You know?
This is true. This is true.
And you have, you know, opened up to them about your entire life history and you're this and you're that, you know? Like we've become this culture where we share so much of ourselves online with social media and whatever, and our bodies, and we're overexposed in so many ways. I think that it's okay to protect yourself and just kind of be a little selective about what you share with someone, until you decide whether you want to get to know them a little bit better, whether you want to kind of share with them more of your life, you know? I believe in Steve Harvey's 90-day rule, not just for sex. I believe in Steve Harvey's 90-day rule just regardless of just getting to know somebody and them getting to know you. You know, why should you be intimate with someone that you barely even know? You probably don't even know their middle name. But
you're right.
Them, you know,
you're right.
It's like they probably don't even know your last name. You know, there's so many things, but they've been to your house. You know, and 6 months from now, you don't even have their phone number anymore. 6 months from now, you're not even communicating. You can't stand them, whatever. But you have become intimate with them. You've shared all your life and all your secrets and all your, you know, you've got to just be a little bit more selective and give people time to reveal their true selves. Just not only who they are, but how they feel about you and what your importance is in their life. And if they show you in that time period that you're not that important in their life, then that's okay. Then don't make them important. If you're not important to them, then they're not important to you.
Right. And just building off that, you know, the flip side also, in just like expecting somebody to tell you all this stuff. So tell me about, you know, why wouldn't you talk about this? I'm here, you know me, you can trust me, tell me, you know. I've known people like that wanted information, and you're just like, dude, like, I literally just met you 2 hours ago. Can you just chill? You know, let's just have fun. We don't need to go that far. Or they're trying to meet your parents, and it's like
that is
not even
literally
week
somebody.
1.
That's literally somebody that you have permission to ghost.
Can they get a signed slip from you? Can they get? And Crystal said, "I can officially ghost you. You have been served."
Yeah.
You know,
their ghosting permission slip has been signed. You know, protect yourself. You know,
yeah.
You know, everything you put on social media, everything you put out there to the world now, because we're such a digital world, it never goes away. It's always cataloged, saved, archived somewhere, you know, and you should think that same thing about your personal life and your intimate life. You know, once you put it out there, you can't get it back. It's out there for the world. It's being shared. It's being tweeted. It's being reposted. It's being, you know, whatever. You can take the online world and make that your individual world. And so does this person deserve to know XYZ about you? Does this person deserve to know about whatever it is? Does this person deserve to meet your child or meet your dog or meet your parents? You know, you don't know that immediately.
Yeah.
You don't know that within the first, you know, couple of weeks or whatever. And someone who is so quick to want to share everything with you and introduce you, maybe you should be a little hesitant yourself. Like, I don't really know you. You know,
yeah.
Right. That should be maybe not necessarily a red light, but definitely a yellow light for you to be like, you know, just be more cautious and be more protective of yourself. And get to know somebody before you know, tell them everything about you that they may or may not deserve to know.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So what about this one? All right. Another harsh truth is that everybody, and that's absolutely everybody, has time for dating. But if they tell you that they don't have time, it's just that they don't have time for you, and that might manifest as just only texting you and not calling you, or, but you're not going to get that quality time where they will be like, hey, I'm going to meet you here. So, and we hear this so many times where people are, oh, they're busy, they can't really meet me right now and whatnot. But truth is, people make time for what they want to make time for. Tell us a little bit about that, especially when we hear that excuse so often, because of people's work schedules and whatnot. But everybody makes time for what they want, surely.
Yes and no. This is actually one that I don't agree with you on. I don't necessarily agree that everyone has time for dating, because everyone doesn't necessarily have time for dating. Dating is time consuming. I mean, when's the last time you've been on an online dating site? You have to check it every day. Otherwise, you'll have all these matches, all these pokes and likes and messages, and it's overwhelming to keep up with. So it's a lot of work, and sometimes you think that you have time for dating, but you don't, based on whatever else is going on in your life. Maybe you're still trying to figure yourself out and you think you have time for dating, but the reality is you don't, or maybe you're transitioning to a new job or a new career and you think you have time for dating, but you don't. Maybe you probably should have been more upfront about that before you kind of put yourself out there, but you might be dating someone and a situation changes while you're dating that person that then says that you don't have time for dating. And it's not that you may not be interested. You might have a lot of interest in that person, but maybe you guys are fairly new in your relationship or fairly new in getting to know each other. And it's hard to prioritize that person over, your job or your family or you could have a health crisis with a family member. There's so many things that could come up. So I don't necessarily agree that it's 100% that everyone has time for dating, because sometimes they don't. But 100% everybody has time to tell the truth. And everybody has time to be upfront about what's going on. So don't tell me that you have time for dating when the reality is that you don't. Because if something changes, then just be upfront with me and say, look, I'm going through this job transition right now. Or, my grandmother just got sick and, I'm not going to have the time that I had before that I thought I was going to have. And, things happen, or maybe you've got a big project going on at work. So, I think, yes, people make time for what they want to make time for, but sometimes people make time for what they have to make time for.
Right.
And sometimes that have to make time for gets in the way of dating, and a lot of times it's temporary. And I think it's a case-by-case basis, that someone has something going on and that is preventing you guys from continuing your relationship or getting to know each other at the speed or the timeliness that you were getting to know each other before. So that's one side of it. But then the flip side is that there are quite a few people who don't make time for you but have plenty of time for you. And that should be an eye-opener to say, yes, people do make time for what they want to make time for. And if this person clearly doesn't have anything else going on and has plenty of time to post 8,000 messages on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and they can't respond to your text messages, that's the situation. That is definitely someone who has decided not to make time for you. And in that case, you should believe that person and not make time for them and not wait a while on them to make time for you. So I think there's two sides of it. There is that side that genuinely life has come up, and I think we have to be accepting of that. I'm almost like preaching to my own choir myself about that, because I recently was seeing someone who kind of had a life circumstance kind of pop up and essentially didn't have time for me anymore. And of course, being a woman, I threw a hissy fit. But the reality is that there was really nothing that I could do about that. And to expect that person, based on how long we had been getting to know each other, to prioritize me over this other aspect of their life was actually unreasonable, because of how important that other aspect of their life was. And I couldn't necessarily say that I would have done differently. And so I think some of it is just reality and being kind of realistic, especially when you get older and you're an adult and you have a job and you've got, responsibilities and you might have children. There are some things that will be more important than your dating life at that moment. And you have to be realistic about that. But like I said, on the flip side, there are those people who just kind of make time for you when literally they have nothing else to do. And that's not okay. And you should not accept that. And someone who, reaches out when they don't have anything else to do, when they've, clearly texted 5 other people before they texted you. No.
Cut and paste.
No.
Cut and paste generic text.
Exactly. The answer is no, and you have permission to ghost them.
There you go. You heard, folks. Now we have this other reality. Issues. Everyone has issues. Even the people that say, I don't have no time for issues, they'll have their own issues, whether it's issues that came about in the last few years, or issues possibly from childhood, or issues that they don't even realize they have, that don't come out until they're 6 months into a relationship. When they're forced to be in a situation where they have to trust you, but they realize they can't, and that may have something to do with an issue when they were let down, when their trust was betrayed when they were very young. So the issues are there, but ultimately we are going to inherit those issues if we choose to get close to that person. It's going to affect us in some way, shape, or form. But I know everyone doesn't want to be with anyone that has issues, but we all do. Whether or not we're handling them or they're handling us, they are there. So tell us a bit about that.
There is no such thing as perfection. You will never meet anyone who's perfect, because you're not perfect and they're not perfect. And like you said, everyone has issues. Everyone carries things with them through life, through relationships, through jobs, through everything. And so it's just a matter, if you commit to being with someone, then you commit to being with that person and dealing with those issues if and when they arise. But also, you definitely don't necessarily want to put yourself in a position where you're dealing with someone who is not capable of dealing with their own issues. You're not supposed to be in a relationship to take care of someone else and take care of someone else's issues. That's not your job. Your job is to support them as they deal with their own issues. So that's important. That's part of the process of when you first start dating, you first start getting to know someone, you will be able to figure out whether this person is mature enough to deal with their own things and to deal with their own issues. I think we used to say this when I was in high school, but like Captain Save-A-Ho, like that's not your life. It's not to be Captain Save-A-Ho. Whether that hoe is a man or a woman, you're not here to save somebody. Somebody has to, that's not a possibility. It's impossible for you to save someone else. They have to save themselves. And so I think everyone has issues. That's a natural part of life, but also a natural part of life is growing up, maturing, recognizing those issues, recognizing, knowing what your red flags are, knowing what your triggers are going to be, and having the coping skills necessary to deal with the issues that are naturally going to come up in life. And as someone's partner, as someone you're committed to, of course you want to support them, but it's not your job to fix their issues. It's their job to fix their own issues. But you can't be unrealistic and think that nobody's going to have issues, because everyone has issues. You have issues. But it's a matter of aligning yourself with someone who knows who they are and who has dealt with their issues and has enough life experience to be able to take on a committed relationship, because that's a lot of work. It's enough work to take care of yourself. It's enough work to deal with yourself, but now you've got to sometimes be strong not only for yourself, but for someone else. And that takes time, that takes wisdom, and that takes maturity. And so if that's important for you to be with someone, you actually shouldn't even be looking for someone who has never had an issue, because that person does not exist. Or that person is lying about who they are, or that person has not dealt with the issue, is not accepting of the issue has not been honest with themselves that they've had an issue, and that will come back to not only harm.
It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out when you least expect it.
Hello, do you watch Eon Look Fix My Life?
It's gonna be that party where they've had a little bit too much to drink, and then the breakdown starts. You know, it's like, whoa. Definitely prefer people with issues who accept them and are dealing with them. Because when you say you don't have them, yeah, you are
a liar.
yeah, that's a lie. Yes, right.
You are
okay. It's true. It's absolutely true. Everyone has issues, and that's part of just the whole kind of, you know, if you don't really accept them about yourself, you don't really know how to talk about them because your ego won't let you. But if you can accept that, yeah, you know, I've got this thing where, even with me, I had an issue with showing my arms. I didn't like wearing t-shirts, just like for many years. And I didn't speak about it, but now I speak about it. And this has to do with like just how I feel about my body, you know, and it's not anything that I find embarrassing. It just is what it is. It's one of my quirks. And you get some people that just think it's weird and don't want to mess with you, and then some people like it doesn't bother them at all. And those are the kind of people I like being around, where me being me does not bother them, you know?
Right. Quirky is interesting. Perfect is boring.
Yes.
You know, nobody wants to be perfect. You know, it's so boring.
Yes. So, okay, last reality.
Okay.
Even though we do talk about, you know, we tell people you'll eventually find someone. Don't worry about it. Forget him or forget her. You know, you meet someone new. Sometimes that never actually happens, and we actually end up alone. Whether it's 20 cats or dogs, a rocking chair and a pipe, however that reality looks like, sometimes we do end up alone. Dating takes work, working on ourselves. You know, like I said, working on our issues, taking time out to know what you want so that you can get what you want. But it's not always a given that any relationship is going to work or that you're eventually going to meet somebody and grow old with them. You know, sometimes some people, based on their choices in life, do end up alone. Tell us about the reality of that.
The reality is that is a reality for some people. And for some people, being alone is what they want. They don't want a relationship, and that's okay. I think a lot of it just kind of speaks to disappointment and not having the life that you thought that you were going to have. You know, not getting married by this certain age and not having kids by this certain age and not having this particular job or whatever, you know. When you're young, you just have these dreams about this life you're going to have, and it's going to be wonderful and great. You're never going to have any issues. You're never going to be sick. And then, you know, life happens and you're like, it's disappointing. You didn't have the life that you thought you were going to have, or you didn't have it at the time that you thought you were going to have it. And that is unfortunately a reality for everybody. It's not always in dating. It's not always in relationships, but everybody goes through things. Everybody, you know, has certain areas of their life that aren't at the level or aren't the way that they want them to be. And that is unfortunately a reality of not only dating, but just a reality of life in general. And what you have to learn to do is just accept the lot that you've been given in life and be grateful for the things that you do have and the things that are going well in your life. You know, maybe you haven't met that guy or that girl that you know, were hoping to meet and marry by the time you were 25, 30, 35, whatever your number is. But on the flip side, you know, you have a great life. You have a great job. You have friends that love you. You have a dog that adores you. I mean, there's so many things to be grateful for. And that's not always easy, but I think once you kind of flip the perspective and change how you look at things as if, you know, it didn't work out, it's unfortunate, I'm going to be alone, and instead change that to, well, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, and if it's really important that you do meet someone and do settle down, then put yourself out there more. Maybe there's things that you're doing maybe there's things that you're not doing that can put you in the space to meet more people. You know, my mom used to always tell me, you know, well, join a club and do this. And I would roll my eyes. And like, literally, I think she could hear me rolling my eyes through the phone, but she was right. You know, I can't complain about something, but not be willing to do anything to change that something I'm complaining about.
Right.
But then also sometimes things are just not meant to be, and they're not meant to be for a reason. And you may not see it right now, but I'm sure down the road you will be like, ooh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for that. Thank you for not making that happen, because that was just not my purpose in life. That was not meant for me. That was not meant to be. And that's okay. And no, I'm not married, but that's okay. No, I don't have children, but that's okay. No, I don't have the job that I thought that I would have, but that's okay. You know, like you as an individual are enough. You always have been and you always will be. You are enough. And a lot of times I think that it is society or your friends or Instagram that make you feel like you're missing out because you see other people that have things that you thought you would have. But the reality is you don't know what's really going on in other people's lives, and you don't know, you know, if they're really truly happy. All you see is their Instagram feed, and that's not always a reality. So I think the hard truth is life can be hard sometimes, and life can disappoint you, and life can not give you the things that you thought that you would get, but that is okay. And you are enough, and you always will be.
You know, at this point of the show, I always ask everyone for the final word. That sounded like a final word, because I mean, it seems to like kind of culminate everything we've been talking about, you know, because it's all about, you know, the illusion, the lie, the front, the disappointment, but ultimately you are enough. You know, you spoke about, you know, the metaphysical aspects of, look, you know, your life is the way it's supposed to be, and if it isn't, it's only maybe because you cannot see it for what it really is, but you actually are on your path. You're doing you, and you have enough. Stop looking at everyone else and judging yourself by everyone else's standards, and know that you are good enough. So yeah, that's very profound what you just said, and I just think it brings everything round full circle to the ultimate reality, the ultimate truth is it, which is just be you. Can't be anything else anyway, even if you want it to be. Yeah, now, you know, like to see a dog climb a tree, you know, or a cat, you know, live underwater, but it's just not gonna happen because they are what they are, and it's the same thing for us. So,
correct. You are who you are. And it's so much easier to just be you. I mean, I personally tried to be other people for a long time. It was exhausting.
It is. Oh, my goodness. Oh. Your lines are coming out jumbled. You can't get your act together. Your lifestyle isn't matching with the car you drive and the stuff you told other people last week. It's like, no, I'm just me. My car's beat up. I've got 3 odd tires. This is me. It's life, you know?
Yeah. I think one of the most important things that I've been able to learn in my short life so far is to just be myself. You know, and there are people going to love me, and there are people who are not going to love me, and that is okay. Mm-hmm. It's not the end of the world. You know, that's okay. They're going to love me or hate me, whether I am myself or whether I'm not myself. So I might as well just be myself. It is so much easier. It's so much freer, you know, to just be who I am. And if you don't like it, I'm okay with that. And if you like it, I'm okay with that too. But regardless, I have to be who I am, because at the end of the day, when I go to sleep and when I wake up, I'm still the person who I am. And you're still going to be who you are. So I might as well just be myself. You know, we all have issues. We all have trials and tribulations in life. But, you know, just being yourself just makes it easy. You know, just be yourself and the rest will take care of itself. And laugh. And just laugh. Laugh so you don't cry. Sometimes you want to cry, but just laugh through it. Just laugh through it. Because we've all been there. We all go through things. You're not alone. You're not the only person that's dealing with whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether it's a relationship or not. You're not alone. So sometimes if you feel like you need to cry, just put on a funny movie, put on, you know, comedy, and just laugh through it. And it'll make you feel better. And then you can kind of get on about your day and get on about your life, being whoever it is you were put on this earth to be.
Get that? Spoken like a true Dutch uncle or auntie. You know? So this site, so it's a magnificent site. Everyone needs to go there. Like, I'm telling you, you wanna, like, it is like, I don't know, the first time you walked into that toy store and you saw all this stuff that you wanted to try and touch and be on. That's what the site is like. It's not just like dating advice. It's not even like, I can't even put it into words. It's so interesting, and there's something for everyone. If you're interested in people, if you're interested in yourself, or you're interested in love, this site is going to have you engaged for hours. Tell us how we can get to the site, Crystal, and also how folks can get in touch with you if they need to speak to you or find out more information about the site and things that you're offering.
Absolutely. So you can find Dutch Uncle on our website is hellodutchuncle.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, also at Hello Dutch Uncle. You can connect with me directly. You can just email the business. You can just email hello@hellodutchuncle.com. I get all of those emails, and I try to respond as quickly as possible. And then the site, we are just recently launched, and we're super excited about it. But like you said, we do have kind of a little bit of everything, depending on what it is exactly that you're looking for. Our specialty is giving dating advice that keeps it 100. So whether that dating advice for you is, some quick advice, just some, we have these things called dating fortune cookies, which are just kind of give you these fun little humorous takes on dating, and advice we love to hate, all those things that people say to you when you're going kind of through the motions and you haven't met anyone yet. We've, just kind of got some things to get you through your day. We also have one of my favorite features is Words of Wisdom from Stan the Man. And so Stan is a 70-year-old man who has written his version, the male version of the vagina monologues, and those are called the penile soliloquies. And
interesting.
Stan has quite some interesting perspectives on men and the male psyche. And some of them are a little risque, but they're quite interesting and quite funny. And then additionally, we've got a personality test. I know we talked a lot about being true to who you are. We've got a personality test that tells you how to be fascinating that we've paired up with a company called How to Fascinate. And you take this, I think it's 28-question test, and it tells you how the world sees you, how you lead, so you can stand out. How do you stand out in a sea of 1 million people online, or even 1 million people, at Starbucks? It's literally by just being more of who you naturally are. And so this test gives you a lot of insight into who you naturally are and how you can kind of take those strengths that you already naturally have and just expand on those. And then additionally, we have our astrology section. We've got some basic compatibility, so you can do, a Gemini and a Gemini, a Sagittarius and a Scorpio, and kind of see how you are compatible with someone based on when they were born. But what I'm really excited about is our astrological reports, which give you very specific insight to you individually. We've got some that are for individuals. We've got some for couples, and you literally put in your name, put in your birthday, put in their birthday, and these reports will give you some extreme insight into everything from the current state of your union to if that person is an ex of yours, what went wrong with that relationship, or even from a karmic perspective, kind of what the purpose of this person was to be in your life. Some people are for a reason, a season, a lifetime, and we have a report that can kind of give you some perspective on, this person was brought into your life to help teach you some lessons on confidence or, being more of who you are or whatever it is. So we've got a lot of interesting, things for you to learn about yourself and learn about the people that you're dating. And eventually, although we are currently in beta mode on this particular feature, but eventually we will be able to offer one-on-one relationship advice. So you as an individual or you and your partner as a couple will be able to communicate directly one-on-one with a dating coach who can give you advice on your particular issues and your particular, questions and things that you're dealing with. So that's, I'm sure that was an extremely long answer, but sure.
No, but I mean, it's like you said, there's a lot in the site, a lot of good stuff, and you definitely piqued my appetite to go in there. I'm gonna check out Stan. It sounds like he's got some very interesting perspectives I might appreciate. But no, that's great, and what I actually would love is that like you said, there's some things that you have now, and there's other things you're talking about launching. And, if there ever is a time where you're featuring a specific thing, that is sure to spark a lot of attention and conversation, I would love to have you back on the show to actually speak on that, because, I mean, I love the angle you're coming from. Like I said, it's fun, it's quirky, it's innovative, and I definitely would love to, cover any other advancements you're making with the site at some point in the future. So would you can you write yourself a permission slip to come back? Can you do that?
Permission slip has been granted.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. It has been a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on, to kind of discuss these harsh realities of dating, and just dating in general, and just being able to share a little bit about my journey and to just share about Dutch Uncle. So thank you. Thank you for that.
All right, Chris. We do appreciate you coming to the show. Thanks for making time, and we will talk again, okay?
Thank you.
All right, Source Nation. We are not quite done yet. Our amazing guest, Crystal Love, has left a little something for you all. Not only did she deliver an enthralling conversation tonight, she has a free gift for all of you, which you can go and collect right now if you go to her website, www.hellodutchuncle.com. You scroll down the homepage and you'll see not one, not two, but 3 brand new online products. She has a morning quickie survival kit, how to fascinate personality test, and astrology reports. Go and see what they are. Trust me, they're cute. You're going to like them, and they'll keep you giggling for ages, all right? All you have to do is enter the discount code SourceNation, all one word, lowercase, and you get 20% off. Isn't that just great? And I'm telling you, go to this site. You won't want to leave. It's an amazing site. Don't take my word for it, okay? www.hellodutchuncle.com. Just use the discount code SourceNation, all one word, lowercase, to get 20% off your morning quickie survival kit, how to fascinate personality test, and astrology report. So some real good stuff there. Very, very exciting, brand new stuff that you don't usually see anywhere else. So again, many thanks to Crystal Love and the folks at hellodutchuncle.com for giving us such a great gift, okay? And while we're in the mood for giving, also, Source Nation, don't forget, I said it a couple of times already, we're still looking for couples, okay? Love Tells is an original web project from Meet My Type that helps couples figure out their short and long-term compatibilities. So if you're in a relationship and you believe it's time to take a step forward, then we want to hear from you, okay? If you've been dating about 2 or 3 months, and ask yourself the following: are we right for each other? Will this really work? Are we missing something? If so, if that's you or someone you know about, let's talk about it with HIPAA, our highly intuitive personality analysis tool, okay? We want to work with you to uncover what your relationship actually looks like and show it to you, all right? So visit meetmytypes.com/lovetells and just follow the steps. All right, Source Nation, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. But before I leave, let me thank our sponsors one more time, and they are Zulina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper to Film Productions, Revolution Mills, Ren Ovations, Urban Grandstand Digital, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, and New Covenant of Praise Worship Center. Also, Source Nation, you can contact me at the Team MMT website, meetmytypes.com. Drop us a message, leave a comment, or ask a question about anything featured on the show or anything that you want us to talk about. All right? You've been listening to Renaissance Relationship Therapy. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday. Love is all, and all is love. Peace.
We'll be back, Source Radio Network, after this commercial break.